So what? This terrible year, you've broken your leg. You've been on morphine. Sounds all right to me.
I've got some left. If you're interested.
Okay, let's go. I worry if I had it at home that would be the end.
Well, I've proven I'm not addicted to it because I've got some left.
That's good. So what? So it's called Escape. So what is there? Is it coalesced already? I mean, you're a few days in. Is it happening?
Yeah, it is. I had kind of 3 different shows. So in February, my dad died 18 months ago, and I had a Dead Dad show, and that's so utterly done.
Yes.
Having written a load of material about him, I see why it's a thing. It's a good subject, but so there's a couple of little bits of that left in there. But it's about how. So I'm an anarchist, and I didn't do political comedy for years because anarchism is so outside of the sort of Overton window that you can't. It's too unfamiliar to then make jokes about sort of thing.
Sure.
But a few years ago, I did a bit that was I was doing a bit about the. It was about people being pissed in banks, and then it went into a bit about the banking crisis, and in that I called the welfare state a 60-year con trick,
Right.
Because the government basically took everyone's money, said we're going to look after you, and then they've given that money to the banks, and they're going, oh, it's not really enough money for your pensions anymore, and that is a very anti-state leftist position.
Yeah.
And it really worked. I was like, fuck, okay, this is great. So the next show I did was explicitly political, and this is the 3rd political show. So I've got this idea for this one. Because Escape is like, I feel like capitalism is fucking intractable when it's, like with the housing crisis and the cost of living, I'm having to I have to make more and more money just to get by. Mm-hmm. And when I started in the early 2000s, you could find somewhere cheap to rent. You could live cheaply, even in London. You could find something, and now you just can't. And it seems intractable. But I've got this idea, which I think is the only original political idea I've had, but I'm worried it's not original. You know, like when Paul McCartney dreamt Yesterday.
I do, yes.
And he spent a month going, have you heard this before? He didn't believe it. So there are 3 ways in which people disagree politically, or if you're being less charitable, 3 ways in which people are wrong politically. It's what you think the world is like, so like materially, what you want the world to be like, which is probably the most interesting one, and how you think we should go about making that change. And then the show's divided into those 3 things. So you talk about like conspiracy theories and immigration, all that sort of thing. So that's the sort of central plank of it. It's getting there. First 2 shows up here, I didn't have an ending.
Right.
Well, I didn't have the ending. I did a story about my dad and his elaborate sex life, and then the second one I did this sort of a song that didn't really work, and then I've now found it, and I've got a hefty callback to a non sequitur, and then I also do a version of. So I really hate George Ezra, and Stacey Solomon. I believe George Ezra and Stacey Solomon are like everything that's wrong about British culture, and my reaction to them is so unjustifiable, and that made me really angry. And it's basically the narcissism of small differences. I grew up in suburban South London and hated it, and that's what they represent. That kind of, it's George Ezra's music for property developers' barbecues is the line I've got. And I hate it, and I hate that I know who they are because I've opted out of popular culture and listen to death metal. Anyway, so at the end, I've written a song that uses the same chords as Green Green Grass, but it's much better. Okay. But yeah, it's a really deeply uncomfortable process to still be writing the show.
Yeah, but
this far in,
I like it because it's what 1990s Edinburgh was about.
Yeah.
So like that was the feeling I had with a lot of even the early 2000 shows, which were like quite together. I was still working on them when I got up here. Yeah. But certainly the stuff in the, I mean, like this morning, Rich Not Judy, we literally had we met up the day before, said what got any ideas what we could do, and it was fairly improvised, but we had one day, and then
did
we
you
just
have guests on and all that.
Yeah,
sort of
so there was an interview, and there was a few things we did every day, but it was a different show every day, and the idea that could then go for the idea you could go to Edinburgh with an idea that we've done it once before, but it was different.
Yeah.
The idea you worked on one day before, do Edinburgh. Next year, that show was on TV.
Yeah,
it's absolutely unbelievable now, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that even if someone had someone's won the awards, they're still we had Joe Kemp Walters on the other day who's talking with TV people after winning the best newcomer last year, but he's not on.
Phil Ellis. As well.
Phil Ellis. They're not. They'll go into endless meetings. And
they won't give them a format. I mean, right? Imagine if they went to Paul Foot, right?
Yeah,
most underrated comedian I reckon. If they said to Paul Foot, right, you got 6.5 hours. It's on BBC Two. It's on BBC Two Thursday night. That was the slot I wanted when I was a kid.
That was our slot.
Red Dwarf for you guys, you know, all that sort of 9:30. You know, if they said to Paul Foot, here's a budget. You get a studio, do 6.5 hours. How you know that would be amazing? Just go and do it. Just go and make it. But Phil Ellis got so frustrated. Endless meetings, and I'm trying to pitch stuff. I tried to pitch a sitcom that we ended up taking back to radio, and just everyone just. I mean, you've been through the process, but it's that thing of like they only seem to want to put comedians not doing stand-up. You know that thing you spent ages getting good at? Yeah, we think you're great at that. Stop doing that now. We're going to put you on a panel show. We're going to put you on, Taskmaster.
Well, it is, but it's because we were almost the last people who, with Monty Python, it was literally. We like you, here's money to go and make the episodes, come back when you've done it and give it to us.
You can only do 13.
Whatever. And with that, it was a little, certainly Fist of Fun, it was a little bit like that. It was a little bit like, here's the money, go and make what you want and put it on. Yeah. Even this morning, if it's not due, the executives were starting to creep in. I remember one of them, like, they didn't want us to put something, we had so much freedom, they didn't want us to say something. And they said, but we said, it was live, and we said, well, we're going to say it anyway. And they said, if you say that, I think there's a good chance you won't get another series.
Right.
And we still, I can't even remember what it was. It wasn't anything very important, but we left it in, and we didn't get another series. But it's become like the job there's the executive job to come up with programs rather than the executive job to go, hey, those guys are good. You're exactly right. If you could, it'd be worth doing I mean, especially because TV's absolutely fucked. Anyway, they need if they just gave quite low budgets to exactly someone like you, someone like Paul, Simon Munnery.
Yeah.
Just say go away and
make something.
You could give the three of you the budget of one episode of something very tiny for a series.
Yeah.
And if one of them came off, it would be worth it.
Yeah. And people would like all of them. Yeah, there would be people who find all of them. I learnt a lesson from when I started from you and Stuart and Simon, because you all had that thing of like your trajectory was just up and up and up and up, and you got your TV show, and then they just a new controller came in and just pulled the rug out from all of you, and then all three of you were sort of like, where do we, how do we, and then Simon got ill and Stuart went mental and all that, but watching that and going, right, so there's no security in like a career trajectory, so what I sort of did with my career, and it's against why I've got no money, is focus on like pursuing my career like a band. So touring shows right from the start, finding an audience that are there no matter what, and then if TV and stuff happen, then that's great. But if not, yeah. I mean,
it's you are very authentic, but you're very authentically you, which is clearly something you've been your whole life, because being you in the 1990s was tricky.
Yeah, really horrible. Yeah,
but you stayed authentically yourself, and that's carried on throughout.
Yeah,
it feels through your comedy, and and what you're doing. I think it's one of those things. If someone comes across you that who hasn't heard of you before, they'll either go, okay, that's not for me, or they'll go, fucking hell, look at this amazing thing. Where the hell did this come from? And it's from you doing 25 years of comedy.
Yeah.
But there is this. It's just very much you, I think, and that's what. But I love seeing that. Just again having Joe on the other day. Because his show, you sort of the Frankie Munro show, which is, if you get a chance to see it, is really interesting and really, really funny and really good. But you can sort of see all the influences, but it creates this new thing, and it's sort of almost respecting the history of comedy and then creating something so weird and different out of it. And it's so individual. And again, I was talking to him about how difficult it would be to translate that, or the dangers of trying to translate that to.
Well, Pappy's Fun Club.
Yeah.
Greg's thing.
Yeah, yes, those guys.
Those guys.
We Are Clang.
We Are Clang.
Yeah.
I mean, God, that was terrible, wasn't it?
The TV show was not compared.
The
difference between the live show and both those Pappy's and We Are Clang, the difference between the live shows and the TV shows were phenomenal, unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Yeah, absolutely. But I do wonder if sometimes I'm too many different things for the industry to get a hold of.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't think that But then if it's working for you and and stuff's happening and you're doing what you want, that is really also Yeah. I mean, I know you have to earn money and live.
Annoyingly,
you've got a family and everything. So there's responsibilities to take into account, which I think you seem to surf that better than some people. Sometimes I do things because I think, well, I've got to clothe my kids, so I'm going to do that thing. But
the punk show is partly just like this will make some money.
Yeah. Okay. Because we've written, the heavy metal show, which I've seen little bits of, is really the bits I've seen are terrific, and you did a book as well of the history. The history
best-selling book.
Yeah,
it's been translated into different languages.
Yeah,
and
well,
stuff.
That's phenomenal.
And then I just kind of went, I should probably do that I did the metal show, and toured it, and then I added a live band. I went, shit, that's okay. I've got to do that. So I toured that, and then I got the book deal. So I wrote the book, and then toured that.
Yeah,
and there's like about 5 years of it. And then I got sort of sick of it. And then last year I kind of went, I should do one about punk, because I've been out of the 6 or 7 bands I've been in, only one of them hasn't been punk. It's only my current band that's a metal band. Okay. The rest have all been punk and hardcore bands. But there is a slight idea of like, escape is my art, and then punk is a slightly more pragmatic. It's a bit more craft.
Okay.
It's still stupid and silly and daft and that. But it's talking about universal references and the lack of them. The punk. So with metal, you go Slayer. People go you go Morbid Angel. They go with punk. Everyone's got their own little bit of punk that they're into, and so there are so many references. I've got a picture of me having lunch with Fat Mike from NoFX. And right,
one person very excited. That was the one person.
2 nights ago, so I'm talking about melodic punk and pop punk and that sort of thing. That kind of night, Green Day and all that sort of stuff. And I go, and some of them are good enough to have lunch with. I put it up, and it's just got. I went, you don't know who that is, do you? No, okay, fine. All right, okay.